Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Digital Nomad World weekly series. I'm Becky, and I'll be your host. And today we're going to be talking with Ashley Howe about content writing as a digital nomad. Ashley, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. Nice to see you.
Yes, it's nice to see you too. You are another one of those wonderful people I met along the road in Koh Lanta, actually, earlier this year.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely a beautiful place to meet.
Yes, and we have episodes about that. If you're listening, we can link to it in the description below. But let's talk first about you, Ashley. I'd love to hear about your background and how you started your digital nomad journey.
Well, it's kind of unusual-ish. So, my background is in content marketing and content and SEO. I have a lot of experience with it and also affiliate marketing. So at the end of last year, my relationship ended, and that was um, actually kind of okay. I mean, it was difficult, but yeah, I during that whole relationship, I had really missed travel, and for whatever reason, my friends, family kept telling me I should go to Thailand. I felt like the universe was just saying, go to Thailand. Three different people on three different occasions said it. I went home and I said it to my mom, and she was like, well, I think you should go. So I booked flights, but I really wasn't sure what the future was gonna look like. I still am not sure what the future is going to look like for me. Um, I actually have big decisions to make in the next coming weeks, so that will be very interesting. But I spent 2.5 months in Asia, and realized, oh, there's a whole community of people who live and work in different countries and move around. And it kind of opened my eyes to this kind of idea of community, because I sort of tried it on my own a little bit, where I would travel and work from wherever I decided to go. But I found that quite difficult because there wasn't really like a community or friends or people I knew. So I was kind of just, schlepping about and being like, oh, okay, hello, I'm lonely and bored. And kind of like just exploring places by myself. Um, and I couldn't do it super often in my relationship because I was in a relationship, we had responsibilities, there were children involved, not mine. But it was more difficult to travel longer term. So once that ended, I kind of was like, woohoo, I can travel. And ended up booking the flights to Thailand. Right now, I have a semi permanent base in Amsterdam, although that's changing a lot. We'll see what happens with it. um, but yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at right now. I also got laid off at in May time, I think it was. And so I've kind of had the door open to like other possibilities for me as well, because I feel like a lot of people who work as digital nomads, they have their own businesses, they have a lot of things. And before COVID happened, I had my own business as well, and it was very successful. um, and then COVID happened, and I took a what I call a real job. um, so I could support myself. And I loved it because it was remote, they were flexible, really great people to work for. And then got laid off. So kind of was questioning everything. Should I open my business again? What should I do? Like, should I find another remote job? Should I stay in Amsterdam longer? Should I stay in Amsterdam not at all? So lots of questions coming up, yeah, for me at the moment.
So at the moment, have you found new work to replace some of what you
Yeah,
lost?
yes, I have. I have some freelance work, hopefully lined up from around next week. So fingers crossed. I also have an interview for a remote role as well on Monday, so it's all go on Monday. um, so we'll see. We'll see what happens and how things pan out. Um, so yeah.
Well, first of all, Ashley, thank you so much for sharing being so vulnerable and open with us. You are not alone as a digital
Yeah.
nomad. A lot
No.
of people have gone through this. Also, a lot of people have gone through breakups and they question everything and where they should go next. And I think it's great that you chose to fly to Thailand and like fulfill a dream you'd had for a while. And
Mm,
in that community and you know it's out there. And I love that you already have these things potentially lined up for next week. And I think anybody watching or listening to this can find they can find this connection. They've probably gone through a point in their life like that. So this is a great, great is a tough word to hear, but it's like,
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
great lesson for
Well,
people. Like, a lot of us
it's a
have been
good
there.
place to be. It's a good
Yeah.
place to be. I think when you have so much change and upheaval, like it might not feel very good at the time. Like I thought I was going crazy. It was like first my relationship, which was my decision, but then losing my job and going through all of the stuff with that while trying to stay relatively sane and calm and not panic about what the future looked like. And now I'm in a position where I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing past September, and that's okay with me. Like,
Yes.
um, and I feel like in other kind of like years, if that same thing had happened, I would be panicking and I would be freaking out, and I'd be like, what is happening? But right now I'm kind of like, I'm pretty calm about it. I kind of, it changes every week what I'm going to do. I'm like, oh, I'll just do this. No, I'll stay in the Netherlands for longer, or no, I'm going to go here, or yeah. And now friends have seen me traveling, more and more are reaching out and going, hey, I'm going to Cape Verde in November, want to come? And I'm like, oh, okay, new options. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Do you mind if I ask, are you required to stay in the Netherlands for a certain part of the year for residency? Are you able to get out
Yes,
of total contract or
but
the arrangement out there?
I have a permanent residency, which by EU law means I can leave for up to 5 years and still come back,
Okay.
which was a thing I didn't know about. But then I started to research in these British expat forums. Um, and yeah, I mean, because it's like a fairly new thing, there are obviously people who are testing this precedent
Mhm.
currently. Like there's a guy who's kind of like, I've been out of the country for 2 years and like coming back and keeping records of when they're back to prove, they haven't been gone for 5 years. It's all very kind of like new, but not new in terms of like EU law. So it's just new for like British people, I
Okay, right,
think.
because of
So
Brexit, obviously. Yeah, there's a
yeah,
whole new press.
yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, that was kind of reassuring to me, because then I was like, well, I can leave and come back, because my biggest thing is that I don't I my a big piece of my heart is still here, and I still love it. I still love Amsterdam. I still love all of my friends, um, and I can't bear the thought of cutting ties and never coming back again, because I've already come back to the Netherlands once, and I feel like it. If someone were to say to me, "Oh, you actually can't come back," then I might have some issue with that. Um, so yeah,
No, I think it's great to like you said, you're not panicking this time, but you're looking into the
yeah,
rules. For anyone
yeah,
who may also have been laid off or is thinking about the next step, depending on where they are, you can think about this. Like check the requirements for where you are,
yeah,
but know that like you discovered in Thailand, there's a lot of communities out there where you can
yeah.
go and find friends and support while you're looking for the next thing.
Yeah, I think the community is like the most important thing. Um, it kept me sane on days where I was having really hard days, like knowing that I could, go up to a friend and be like, hey, let's have a coffee. I feel like I need to just scream into the void. Um, and there's someone there to have coffee with. Whereas when you work remotely and you're like in your home, that's very difficult to do unless you have a partner, or like you have housemates and they don't always want to be your like your agony aunt or whatever. So it's nice because I feel like digital nomads kind of understand that like uncertainty and that kind of like, oh, I don't know what's coming next, and like, yeah, it's easier for people to connect, I think, as well. People are more open to, becoming friends. I've got friends who I met who I know more about than some of my really long-term friends, because we just say things out loud to each other, and it's like, oh, okay. Best friends.
Mhm. Yeah, I do find too, I'm sure even in Amsterdam you may have found this, like people that are really rooted there, they have children, they have these jobs and companies. They don't understand sometimes that, well, just get on with it, Ashley, just get on with it, Becky. Like, find the next
Yeah,
thing that's how life is. But when you meet up with digital nomads, you understand that they've all often left their countries and they've found
yeah,
another way, and there is another path that may not be
yeah,
permanent, you're moving, but it's a
yeah,
group of people moving. Like we met in a hotel, and we didn't know necessarily that a lot of
yeah,
people in that hotel were only there because there was a co-working space around the corner. And so you
yeah,
literally lived across the hall from me, and we
yeah,
became friends. There were
yeah,
people there we became friends with, and it's just a path you didn't see coming because we
yeah.
were both single women there, finding our way. So.
Yeah, and I think the owner kind of, she was like, "Oh, this person's at the co-working space." Oh, like every time, "Oh, this person," like trying to help us become like at least meet one person before we were like in the co-working space. Because I feel like that's also a thing. It's like when you first walk into somewhere new, it can be quite daunting, I think. I'm not someone who is very shy, as you know. But I do get a little bit sometimes like, oh, first time, and I get a bit like, oh, nervous, and then it's fine. As soon as I walk in, it's like I'm fine. But it's just the thought of it, like overcoming that little hurdle in my brain, like, oh, new people. But then it's fine.
Tell you the number of times I've literally found my first connections and first like footsteps in a new community with the manager of like a co-working space or a hotel. Like you mentioned, just
Yeah,
saying, "Oh, this girl or this person is here." And
yeah,
then it just starts from there. They've already have friends, you can make more friends. It's really great in the digital
yeah,
nomad community. But I am curious to go back to next Monday. You said like you have these interviews.
yeah.
If you don't mind telling me, how did you find these new potential interviews? Because I know people in a crossroads like this,
Mm.
they're not sure sometimes where to look for the next job or something like that.
So the one, so I think the contract is coming on Monday for this freelance work. But it's an agency that I used to work with on a daily basis when in my previous role. And they happen to be growing, and the owner posted on LinkedIn something about, if you want to work with us, and I just wrote on it, I always want to work with you, because I had a really good working relationship with them, and I think that was so instrumental. And he messaged me then, and he said to me, "Oh, yeah, we'll have a call, we'll discuss it." So I had a call with their HR, sent her through my information, and it was probably like, I'm touching wood because I'm hoping that everything is going to come through on on Monday. But it was the easiest thing. She just said, "Oh, we'll send through the paperwork," and I thought, "What? This is supposed to be an interview." But because they all knew me, all of the other people, she was one of the few that hadn't met me, and because she's the HR person, she just wanted to meet me, chat, get to know the vibe, see if we got on. And yeah, they said, this is the rate. Let us know if you're interested. And I said, yep, sounds great. Sign me up. So yeah, we are hopefully sorting the contract on Monday. And then the other one was one on LinkedIn. And I really thought I'd fluffed it. Like, I really genuinely was like, oh, this is bad. They had one of those time test things where it was like, what's the next one in the pattern? And I always panic with those. I don't know what it is. I've got 60 seconds and I'm like, ah, instead of like looking at the patterns or like reading what, I mean, I'm reading, but I'm reading what the thing is saying. But there's a lot of panic in there because it's like, oh, I've only got 60 seconds. I've got to get it right. And I thought I really messed it up. And then I got an email saying they wanted to invite me to interview, and that had taken so long because everyone was on holiday. Because I was going to email them and say, these time tests, I understand why you do them, but for people who are maybe neurodivergent or people who panic at tests, maybe it's not the easiest way to screen for them. Maybe there's something else you could do, but I haven't sent the email, but I will maybe mention it in the interview on Monday and see.
That kind of thing, I hate those questions. It just doesn't seem to
I
make
know.
any sense with what they're really looking for in a candidate. But
Yeah.
I personally wait until you're hired to tell
Yeah.
them, like, afterthought later,
Yeah.
but that's fingers crossed for you for Monday.
Yeah.
But
Thanks.
LinkedIn, you got to be on LinkedIn. Everybody like to find these potential opportunities and
Yeah.
also be looking at where you were working, who you were working with, and maybe what other
Yeah.
companies your coworkers are working for at the same time. Because we know with
Hmm.
freelance, there's a lot of clients people have that you may not even
Yeah.
know about. So
I would say your network is probably the most important thing in terms of just like getting out there and kind of figuring out like who's going to be your client. Like I had so many like messages when I finished working at the company I was previously at, from people just wanting to help because of my industry. We're very close knit. We talk to each other. We try and collaborate with one another quite often. And so these people started saying, "Oh, this one, apply for this," or "Oh, your rates are higher than what we normally pay, but I'll keep you in mind if any of our clients, you know, has any work." So it was really useful because I don't think that I would have necessarily found something so quickly without my network. Um, yeah.
regarding content writing and your industry, do you think there's a lot of jobs out there,
Yeah, I
including
do. Yeah, there's a lot of demand for that. I think and understanding strategy and how to create one is super important. Um, because basically like the ideal is like a content writer doesn't get paid as much. um, if you can go in and say, hey, I can create your content strategy, I can write it for you, I can manage freelancers, I can find an agency, I know reliable people, then they haven't got to think about anything. And it just makes more sense for them to hire someone who doesn't need any hand holding. Like I've interviewed for companies who have wanted just someone to write content, and I said to them, "Well, you know, how is this going to look? Are you going to send me briefs? Like, are you going to send me keywords?" And they really haven't thought about it at all. And then it's kind of like, well, okay, I can do that for you, but it's going to take me more time. So then we have to look at how this is structured and how it's paid. Um, but yeah, I think also like a lot of companies, I know you're going to ask me about it. Probably your next question, AI, right? uh,
I mentioned I was going
so
to ask, but yeah, AI. I think maybe people think AI is just magically handling it, like, or when you're writing, it's easy now for certain
mm,
programs to like a download or a plugin for WordPress is just going to
yeah,
handle it. Like, is that the case? Is AI really taking over content writing as much as people might perceive it to be doing?
I don't think that that content is performing very well. I think that there is a very big difference between, because with AI it's been fed what's already available on the internet, so it's not capable of original thought. um so I think a mix, like I would use AI to save time with like manual tasks, that were related to content writing, like writing the contents or like where do the capital letters go, because I'm one of those people, I just don't want to think about it. I just tell me where the capital letters go, thank you. um and then kind of like looking at what's already out there so that we can come up with a different angle. So like if I told it to write me a brief, it would come back with, after a while I noticed patterns, pros and cons of this in every single article, a brief that it would spit out, and it just became, it was very formulaic. It didn't feel original, and so I feel, and it wasn't very good at writing. From I mean, I work in affiliate marketing a lot. I have a lot of experience in this industry. I'm sure it's the same in other industries, but with affiliate marketing, most of the content on the web is aimed at people who want to make money with their website and not brands. And so it would spit out things about how you can make loads of money with affiliate marketing, and it was like the wrong angle because we were targeting the brands. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely saved time where I've been like, this is what I want to write. Can you write it in this style? And then I go and edit it. But I have to tell it what I want to write because it can't come up with it by itself. So, yeah, I don't know that it saved time necessarily, but like on those days where my brain was just like, no, I don't know how to even start this sentence, then I would tell it, oh, I need to write a paragraph about this. Please include these points. And it would spit something out, and then I would edit it. But again, all of the time I was looking for, we need a unique angle. We need like quotes from experts. We needed a lot to make it very good content. And I think that AI can be used to save time, but I don't think that it's there yet. And I don't think it ever will be there yet in terms of producing original content, because it's just not designed for that.
Yeah, I think that creativity, I think we've all played
Mm-hmm.
with ChatGPT by now. Like it just, the
Yeah.
creativity is there. And that's what the human element is still so necessary for.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're writing content, like you just said, you could maybe use it as a secretary or a little assistant for certain
Yeah.
things. Got to be
Yeah. I
the
would,
one that needs to, a human needs to fix it, you know?
yeah, like I would get it to write my contents, my table of contents. And then there was a specific way of formatting that took me time to do manually. But then I made a little GPT of my own where I just fed it the headers, and then it just spat them out, and then I could copy and paste them into WordPress, which saved me about 15-20 minutes each time. Um,
Well, I personally hope AI does not take over the content writing industry completely, but I think that, for now it's a help, but not the end all to our problems and our
yeah.
all the content writers out there. So,
Yeah,
well,
I feel like a lot of companies think it's the answer, but I think once you sort of explain, like, oh, it needs to be original, and we need experts quotes, and there's a like certain special sauce that you need in order to make it really good, then they're kind of more inclined to be like, oh, okay, we understand. But it's a battle. Um,
and when you
yeah.
mentioned content strategy, what are you really
Mm.
putting to the client that's not just content writing?
It depends on the business a lot. But yeah, content strategy can look very different depending on what a company does. So it could be webinars or social media or um, newsletters, or really just whatever the company does. You kind of have to look at what they currently have, what's working, what's not, and then go from there. But like, my favorite thing to do is like SEO content strategy. So like, let's look at your blog, let's look at what's working, let's look at what's not, let's do some keyword research and topic research, because keyword research is not really a thing anymore. I feel like it's dying, and it's more about topics as a more broad thing. Um, and then, yeah, make the content and hopefully get it to convert. Um, yeah.
You have an SEO tool that you particularly love to use or recommend?
Um, well, it depends. So, SEMrush is one of the more expensive ones, but it's one that I like. But also Ahrefs is cheaper for smaller businesses, I would say.
Okay, so we can put links to those as well if people are interested.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, Ashley, thank you so much for, again, sharing your story, this crossroads that you're at right now. I really cross my fingers for you this coming week that things were going to start to change. Also, that these decisions you make soon are going to feel like the
Mm,
right ones after you think about it. Is there
yeah.
anything else you would like to share with us before you go?
Any what?
Anything else that you would like to share before we go?
Um, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't panic, I guess.
One, that's important.
Breathe, breathe.
Yeah, it's
You're alive.
world health for sure, especially with the job market in general these
Yeah.
days. And if people want to follow you, where can they go?
Ooh. Well, I am on LinkedIn. Um, and well, I'm on Instagram, but that's not really, it's more just me posting random pictures of my, yeah, silly travel stuff. But it's a private account. I don't
Yeah,
but
we'll
LinkedIn, yeah.
put the LinkedIn link there. And yeah, hopefully we will get a follow up from you soon, and we will hear that you are employed with many clients and everything is
Yay. Yeah.
well. Thank you so much, Ashley, for joining us today, and all the best of luck to you in the future. And I
Yeah.
hope to and in Thailand, one of our happy places in the world for sure.
Yay. Yeah. I'm hoping to be there in December, but we'll see. It's like changing every week, so I'll let you know. Anyway,
That's good enough.
thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, and it was fun to catch up.
Oh, you're welcome. Have a wonderful day.